Hey guys, welcome back to Loft Sports. It's Tyler coming at you with the Notre Dame versus Michigan preview, the big one in prime time in the big house. Obviously, this is probably our second biggest game of the season, like we talked about earlier this year. Georgia was the first game, Michigan was the second. Yes, USC's always, of course, up there, but these were the two games. When we looked at the schedule back in the summer, we said if we can win one or both of these, we can have a potentially special season. Now, obviously, this game has lost a little bit of luster. We lost to Georgia. Michigan's already lost twice this year. I was actually rooting for Michigan, as much as that hurts to say, this past Saturday to beat Penn State, so this game was potentially a top 10 battle. Didn't quite happen, although Michigan did play very well in the second half. Because Michigan has now lost twice in the Big Ten, this is potentially all they have left to play for. Jim Harbaugh's seat is getting warmer, and they still have their three biggest rivals all at home. This is their season. Our game, the Michigan State game, and the Ohio State game are all they have left to salvage their season. This was a team that had playoff aspirations early in the season, high hopes, New Year's Six Bowl, all of that is on the line Saturday night when Michigan hosts Notre Dame. As we always expect, it's going to be a game of heated emotions, no matter what the records are. When you're talking about rivals of this magnitude, the records don't matter, but when you put numbers next to the names and both teams are ranked, the stakes are even higher. Obviously, we still have an outside chance at the playoffs to play for, and Michigan is thinking, hey, maybe we can win out or win the rest of our games except for Ohio State and still get to a good bowl game. We have not won at Michigan since Charlie Weiss's first year back in 2005, when Brady Quinn and those boys went in there and upset a then highly ranked Michigan team, and there's a lot of reasons to think that may or may not change on Saturday night. This is not going to be a more intimidating environment than Georgia. We've played at Michigan several times. We know that that's the biggest stadium in college football, but we're familiar with it. There's going to be a lot of Notre Dame fans there. This is not the SEC environment that Georgia was. If this team can go down to Athens and handle that environment, I'm confident that this is not too big of a stage for our guys to handle. Now, as for Michigan, they have issues on offense. They struggle to score at times. They are okay at running the football, and Shea Patterson has really turned out to be a very disappointing quarterback at Michigan. He came over from Ole Miss. A lot of people were high on him. People thought Michigan was going to walk through Notre Dame last year in South Bend. We were able to keep him bottled up for the most part, but he's good enough. He's good enough that if Michigan plays good on Saturday night, this could be a game where we find ourselves in trouble in the second half. So we have to come in and play our game. I'm going to give you my rundown and the keys to the game right now. All right, so my three keys for the game on Saturday. Number one, Book. Book, for crying out loud, has to play his best game of the season or we're not going to win. It's that simple. He cannot be happy feet in the pocket, running into his own damn lineman. He's got to play better. He's got to make throws that are there. Take what the defense gives him. Get the ball out, get it to Cole Kmet, get it to these skill players in the space, and let them do what they were recruited to come to Notre Dame and do, which is make people miss and make big plays. Number two, the running game. We cannot throw the ball 50 times and beat Michigan. Michigan's defense is still very, very good. It's not quite as elite as I thought it was going to be at the beginning of the season. I was high on Michigan. I picked them to win the Big Ten in Seth and I's preview videos that we did back in the summer. They haven't quite been as good as I thought, but they're still good enough to beat us if we don't play a very good game. The running game has to be there. If it all relies on Ian Book, just like USC, just like Georgia, just like Virginia, I said the same thing all year. Book has to have some help. He's not good enough to carry us. We have to be able to run the football. And then number three is the turnover battle. If we go out there and we turn it over 3, 4, 5 times, give their offense a short field, it doesn't matter how inept they are at times to score. If they're only working with a 30 or a 40-yard field, they're going to put points on the board. Our defense is good, but it's not good enough to shut them down, especially when you give them a short field. Plus, when you're playing on the road, turnovers and special teams plays are huge momentum shifters. The game might be going your way, but you fumble the ball and give them a defensive touchdown or a short field that they can score quickly off of. It flips the entire complexion of the game around, so we have got to keep the turnovers to a minimum. All right, so how do I think this game is going to go? I'm not super confident, but I'm I feel okay. I think we're the better team. I think we have better players. And to some degree, I would hope, off of a bye week, we'll be more prepared to play. Not saying Brian Kelly's necessarily a better coach than Jim Harbaugh, but he's had an extra week to prepare. Michigan just got done in a fist fight on the road at Penn State. We should be okay. But this is a rivalry game, and we always have trouble with teams where we think we should be able to go in there and push them around. Now, I'm not saying we're going to beat them 56-0. I don't think it's going to be anything close like that. I'm feeling like a 27-23 game where it's back and forth. Maybe we're down at halftime, kind of like the Virginia game. Defense makes a couple plays in the second half. The problem is that Shea Patterson is going to be ready to play. He's got a lot to play for. Michigan as a whole has a lot to play for. Their season is on the line. They were, like I said earlier, they were projected to be a potential playoff team. They're sitting at 5-2. Everybody's starting to call for Harbaugh's job, starting to question whether or not he can really be the Michigan man to save the program everybody thought he was. I think we're good enough to go down there and win, but I could also very easily see us losing this game if we don't take care of the football and book plays like he has most of the season. I do think that we will win this game, but it's going to be an absolute dogfight. I'm nervous as hell. I always am when we play Michigan. They've got the talent to match us pound for pound across the board. Their offensive line and defense can keep them in this game, and if they get a running game going, we're going to be sweating it out. But I would like to think, off of a bye week, with the players we have, we should be good enough to go in there, having already played against a really good team on the road in Georgia this year, and steal a win and keep our season intact while theirs goes crumbling down. Hopefully that'll be the case on Saturday night. This is Tyler for Loft Sports, signing off. Go Irish.